Testing. Is that working? Who's to say? I'm to say. Let me check. It's working fine. Let that be a lesson to you. Test your microphone. Things I am learning here today. This is the second time I'm going to film an introduction spiel. I'm going to do better this time. Hi, I'm Anna. I am an aspiring fantasy author and I'm new in town. The town being YouTube. I'm not new in the town I live. Well, I'm a little new. I figured because I am, as previously mentioned, new in town, it might be fun to introduce myself properly to you, to the world. Hello, world, if you're listening. And do the Authortube Newbie Tag. I've sort of scanned through to try and find if there's new questions for 2026, but I'm lazy. And so I took the 2025 questions out of my friend Angela Freckleton's video description from when she did the 2025 tag. So that's what we're doing today, because I thought that it would be a fun way to introduce myself unto you. Stunning. Great. So, as a little bit of context, I am 26. I live in Scotland, and as previously mentioned, I'm an aspiring fantasy author. I dabble in other things and have actually focused on other things in the past, but right now it's fantasy because I've realized that that is what I love. When it is good, there's nothing like it. Number one, what is your book's pitch? My primary book, I have two projects at the minute. One is in the drafting stage and one is in a planning stage. And my planning stages can take a while because, will we get into this later? Yeah, we will. Skip to question 8 if you want to hear why my planning stage is long. But the main book, the one that is in the drafting stage, is currently titled Project Bones or The Paris Project, depending on who I am speaking to. I'm trying to train myself into calling it Project Bones, but when it was first conceived, it was just called The Paris Project. So when I talk about it to people who've been there the whole time, that's what I call it. And the pitch is as follows. It's the summer of 1895 and the world is ending, as it always does in Paris, or at least it's changing, as it always is in Paris. A dark cloud hangs over the city of light, and in a place built on bones, nothing stays dead for long. We have a young woman born with a magic that ties her to the past, her brother, who is dedicated to the endless march of progress with little care for those it leaves behind, and a young man of modest means with an entity to whom he has made a deal. When girls start dying, they must decide what is their responsibility and what is simply the future coming to bear. I might throw up here the little mood board that I made, so you just sort of get a sense for the tone of this book and what it's about. But it's magic, it's investigation, it's yearning. The romance is not a romance in that it never gets to be realized, which is what I like. I like yearning. I like yearning. Know that about me now. Anyway, so that was question 1. Question 2 is, if you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? Now, I find it really hard to do this, and so I've come up with, I would want to be a sort of coming of age, probably a little bit of lit fic, and I would kill to have romance. God willing, mayhaps there is a rom-com in my future, unless the tarot readers on TikTok lied to me, but my friend has been threatening to buy an Etsy witch. So we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know. Number 3, what do I usually write? As previously stated, I am at the moment focused on fantasy, specifically historical fantasy. I have 2 history degrees and I'm about to become a history teacher. So history is like one of my great loves. And so The Familiar is a comp for Project Bones is because I read it and went, oh my God, you can do that. You can take a historical setting and write fantasy into it. Oh my God. And I get to do research, which is the nerdiest thing about me. I write fantasy. I have written romance in the past, and I would like to return to it at some point, but it's not fitting at the moment. And I've written a lot of fan fiction, most of which will never see the light of day nor AO3, and that which is on AO3 will not rise from that obscurity. You don't get to know these things about me. This is my secret shame that is known by my 3 friends who also play Dragon Age. You can make of that what you will. 4. What is something you will never write? Shadow daddies. I have a lot of respect for the shadow daddy trend, but I feel that it is overdone and that it is unappealing to me. When I think of the shadow daddy trope, I think of like Resand and how like a lot of these male characters are shadow daddies because that's what you write, not for a meaning within the text. And also that trope is usually it's accompanied by a grim outlook, usually a possessiveness that makes me quite uncomfortable, things like that, when I generally prefer my love interests to lean more on the golden retriever side than the black cat side, or even on the Doberman side, you know? But that's just me. I like a sunshine boy. Suffering porn. When I think of suffering porn, I think of like A Little Life and stuff like that. And suffering without meaning and without message. You know, like if I am putting my characters through something, it is for a reason. It is with intentionality towards a theme, and a theme that is not just bad things happen. And straight romantic romance is what I wrote here. Don't hold me to this. Don't hold me to this. But I think when I say romance, I will write romance. I love romance. Romance is one of my favorite things, but I prefer it as a subplot rather than plot. And that is what I feel divides romantasy from fantasy with romance, which is an opinion I've seen a lot recently of like, if I can remove the romance from the book and the novel happens the same, then it is a fantasy with romance rather than a romantasy. And that is what I lean towards, rather than romance being the whole plot. And that is what I mean here. Yes. What is my goal for starting an Authortube channel? Community and accountability, also boredom and curiosity. So as stated, I have about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, until I start my PGDE here in Edinburgh, which is the qualification here in Scotland for becoming a teacher. And I'm bored. So I thought this would be a fun thing to do, and it would encourage me to actually do stuff. As we move on to the accountability part, it will encourage me to actually write. I filmed a vlog yesterday and I wrote more then than I had for like 2 weeks. So I'm going to take a sip of matcha because I really haven't drank anything in a while. I wrote more yesterday than I had for like 2 weeks because the camera was on me and because I promised the camera that I would do this. Whether this will continue is a different question, but that's the aim. The aim is accountability and the aim is community. I have started since the writing retreat to build a wonderful community. I write pretty much every week with 2 of the girls that I met on the retreat, and it has been so wonderful to have that motivation, to know that there are people rooting for my book to be written, and to be accountable to somebody, to at least when like we're in that sessions, I know I have to write something, and to be able to talk about my process and my writing with people who are in the same boat. Because I can theorize about writing and about lore, craft, and all of that with my older brother, but he is not a writer. He is simply a very impassioned reader. And that is wonderful, but it is different talking about it with people in the same boat as you. And so if you want to do that, I'm here, and I would love that. Please comment below. Number 6, what made you want to start writing? I'm going to be so honest with you. I have been writing for so long that I don't know why I started. I have always had stories inside me. Like, I used to sit in the shower and make up stories using the shampoo bottles when I was really young. And I did theater, and my favorite part was devising pieces. And so storytelling has always been a part of who I am. And I was lucky enough to have parents who encouraged this, who bought me notebooks, who bought me books, who read me books, who bought me so many audiobooks, and did not get annoyed when I would play them the entire night to fall asleep. And I wrote my first book when I was 8, but it wasn't a book. It was some sheet. I wrote a comic book, or an illustrated short story is what we probably call it now. A story with illustrations on fucking notepad lined paper that I tied together with ribbon, gave to my mum, and is promptly lost. And ever since then, I've been writing and coming up with ideas and making up worlds and making up characters. I know which books solidified this, and I don't talk about those books anymore because trans lives matter more than my childhood memories do. Especially since I live in Britain, I live in Scotland, where that author has had a tangible effect on the lives of trans people and people I care about. So I don't talk about that. This is the most you will hear about that from me. And I acknowledge it. That's it. But writing has always been a part of me. Storytelling has always and will always be a part of me. And it has been for so long that I couldn't tell you other than that where it started. 7, what's your publishing path? I don't know. I'm not that deep in. I have 12,000 words written as of yesterday of this novel. I have always wanted to be traditionally published because that was the only route I knew existed. So traditional or indie publishing, I think no matter how confident I feel about the book, no matter how much I love the book, I don't think that self-publishing would be for me. Because I don't think I could get past, like, because self-publishing would only occur for me if I had been rejected by all other methods. And at that point, I think I'd take the L, honestly. Number 8, we're getting into the bits where I didn't write answers down. What content do you bring to the Authortube table? This is where I said to skip to if you want to hear more about why my planning stage takes so long. So I have 2 things to say here. I have the first, which is I see a lot of authors in America. I don't see so many in Britain on Authortube. So I think I add that. I've not got 2 things to say. I have many things to say. I lied. So there is the British aspect, there's the Scottish aspect, there's the Edinburgh aspect. So I doubt that the publishing journey differs that much between the US and the UK. Interesting to see. Follow along if you want to find out. Maybe. And then Scotland and Edinburgh kind of go hand in hand, where I think I bring an interesting piece of content, which is I live in a place in the world that a lot of people want to visit, and I can show you around it if you want. I can show you around Edinburgh. I can show you around Scotland because I do travel up and down the length of Scotland quite often, because while I live in Edinburgh, my friends live further north of me and on the other side of the country from me. I have a lot of friends who are in Glasgow and Ayrshire, and my parents live in the Highlands. So if you want to see the Highlands, if you want to see the Murray Coast, all of that, I can do that. We can enmesh Authortube with a kind of travel vlog style is kind of what I would like to do, given the fortuitousness, I don't know, given where I live. And the second part that's not about where I live is who I am, which is history and research. And my planning stages are so long because the way that I interact with writing is my ideas usually come from finding something in history that I resonate with and want to explore. So the Paris novel is very much inspired by France and Paris specifically in the 1890s, in the wake of the Paris Commune, with the sort of ideals of revanchism that colored society in that time and interacting with that. And my secondary novel, the novel in the planning stage, is inspired by chivalry and courtly love, and also the Italian Renaissance and the Medici and the Pazzi and the conspiracy there. And so I find things in history that I want to be in conversation with, and in conversation with how they are reflected in the modern day. And so I do a lot of research and I do a lot of reading. So if you want to see and hear about that, we can. I could do some history videos if you wanted. I could do a history of Edinburgh, a brief history of Edinburgh, or something like that if you wanted, and then about the other historical topics that really interest me. And I think that's different. I think that's interesting. I hope you do as well. I just think that writing is a conversation. Number 9, what's your biggest writing struggle? Words. I think my degree is used up all my words. I don't got any left. No. Motivation and accountability. Again, I am so easily distracted. As you may have noticed, I'm so easily distracted, which is why I like my writing sessions with my friends, because I feel like I have to do the thing. And that's why I like having the camera on me, because I feel like I have to do the thing. And so it's just consistency. It's just actually like sitting down and putting the words on the page and focusing, and not just deciding to lie in my bed scrolling on TikTok. I really want to lie in my bed and scroll on TikTok today. 10, what's your best writing skill? Based on what other people have told me, I would say description. Just description. I think people who have read my writing in the past enjoy and feel that my descriptions are very vivid. And with that, I think I'm very proud of how I use language. I like to experiment with language and have fun with it. And if it doesn't work, someone will tell me, but I like doing that. And yes, that's it. Tension, I don't know. I'm just trying to think what people have complimented in the past, which is things like word choice and description. So I think that's what I'm good at, I guess. I know that my dialogue can use work. If you're new to Authortube, what's your biggest question? How are you? Would you like to be friends? I'm very friendly. I'm just also very shy. So please reach out to me. I hate making the first move because I constantly feel like I'm annoying. So would you like to be friends is my question. I'm very nice. 12, are you looking for any new channels? Yes, I am. New channels to follow. Yes, I am. I am slowly expanding my repertoire, but I love to see other people's writing journeys. It's very motivating for me. I often like to have them on in the background while I'm doing my stuff. And it makes me feel like I'm part of things. It is that like parasocial thing that we're all having to lean into, but we're all like, hey, that's weird, you know? But yes. And 13, what are you most excited for during this new fresh start on Authortube? The same thing that I've been asking for the whole time. I'm excited to make friends. I'm excited to create a community. Hopefully that's not hubris or presumption. I'm excited to make a little community that can hopefully be part of a larger one. I'm excited to share this with you. I'm excited to get to talk about these things. I'm excited to work on my novel. Yeah. And then I don't know how tags work. Do I add a question? I'm going to add a question. What's your favorite book? Or not even what's your favorite book? What are the books that you think have defined you? Because I am defined by, you can't see it back there. I don't know which side it's on. It's I think you can. The big book, the really big book, Les Miserables. Everything about me is informed by Les Miserables. The fact that I saw the movie when I was 12 and then have seen the stage show, I think, let's go through it. 14. There was a time I saw it in a summer, I saw it then. I've seen at least 3 touring productions. I've seen it in America, and I saw the staged concert. I've seen it at least 7 times, and I've read the book twice. And that book, each time you read it, there's a new part of it that like kind of re-terraforms your brain and how you think about things. Victor Hugo was right when he said that that book will never not be relevant. The issues that he outlines in the is it called the epithet? I can't remember. But he has this bit at the beginning where he's like, as long as these 3 evils that define the 19th century exist, books of the nature of Les Miserables cannot fail to be of use. And the 3 evils still exist, and Les Miserables is still of use. And so that defines me, as does I think I'm very informed by Game of Thrones. I think I'm very informed by Song of Ice and Fire. Is there a third book that I would say informs me? No, not off the dome. Not off the dome right now. There are books that inform different parts of my writing, and there are books that inform different ideas that I have, but I think it's Les Miserables and A Song of Ice and Fire for me. Which I think Les Miserables makes me sound pretentious, and A Song of Ice and Fire makes me sound like a dude bro, but I'm looking at it in a feminist way. I'm not a dude bro. Stop. Anyway, I think that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this wee chat, this 26-minute chat. That's crazy. How have I talked for this long? And I will see you on the other side of the war. See you on the other side of the war. Do, 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 do.